in the chat saying, Don, I love you. You need to start on time. Look, you can blame me a little bit today, but you could also blame our guests because we're both having a day. We're just having one of those days where you're just a little bit behind. We don't put so much pressure on each other over here on the Don Lemon Show. We like to, hey, look, oof. And I say that, and then look what's right there. Oh, boy. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hot Topics. Thank you for joining the Don Lemon Show. I appreciate it. You're going to love or hate or both, I believe, our guest coming up. But he's very knowledgeable about everything that's going on right now, and I'm so happy that he's here to talk to him. So Kevin O'Leary is going to join us. I'll introduce him in just a second, okay? But let me just tell you what's going on. So I posed this question last night, and I'll pose it again this morning. Did we avert an utter economic disaster, or did we merely delay it? And by the way, my analysis, and I'm not a financial expert, was exactly 100% right on, where I said, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited about a lot of this stuff because it goes up, it goes down. The president, as we know, as I spilled a glass of water all over everything, the president, as we know, is erratic. You never know what he's going to do. You never know exactly what is going to happen with him. He could say one thing 1 minute and one thing the next minute. So despite Donald Trump's move to reverse course and break his own promises in pausing most of the so-called reciprocal tariffs, the stock market cratered when it opened this morning. It is down. I don't know what's going on, but I don't think the experts know either. Apparently, folks remembered that a 125% tariff on China is going to absolutely annihilate American small business sector, the American small business sector. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 800 points, or about 2%. The S&P 500 shed 2.4%, while the NASDAQ slid 2.9%. And folks are beginning to ask more questions about Trump's erratic moves. Check out this New York Times headline. Trump's encouragement of stock investors draws scrutiny. A lot of people are looking sideways at this, wondering if it's some sort of insider trading or akin to insider trading, thus our thumbnail that says insider trader, okay? Specifically, lawmakers in Washington are looking to investigate if the Trump administration officials committed insider trading in advance of the Truth Social post, which also used his company's ticker ID, DJT. So much to discuss. Fortunately, a brilliant guest. He thinks I'm controversial. I think he's controversial. That's what he said to me before the show. Kevin O'Leary is a brilliant businessman, the chairman of Beanstalk Investing, and of course, Mr. Wonderful on the Shark Tank. Kevin, you're looking good. You've been traveling. You're in D.C. yesterday. You're here. What say you about all of this, and specifically about, did you see this New York Times article? What did you think of that?
Yeah, look, I've seen a lot of articles, and I've heard a lot of narrative that's been going on regarding Trump, and there's no question about it. It's created a lot of volatility in global markets, not just equity markets, but also bond markets. And that's actually what triggered, I think, the response out of the White House yesterday was a move in the treasuries, because the last thing you want are countries like China and Japan selling treasuries. They hold trillions of dollars worth of them. So that was kind of what occurred. But having said all that, yesterday in Washington, D.C. was all about China. And the hearings were there. I was testifying as well as others. And also there was a meeting, a lunch meeting with senators held by Rick Scott, where China came up again. And so it's China, China, China.
I want to get to China. I want to get there because I think it's important. I think China needs to be reined in. Absolutely. But I want to get to the news of the day with you. And then we can talk China, and then we can talk crypto and all those things, because I know those are very important topics to you. But let's just get the news of the day out of the way, Kevin. As we're looking at this, I want to play this. This is from CNBC, a reporter asking Trump about this, and I'm going to get into this New York Times article and other articles, asking about the possibility of an insider type trading. And here it is. This is from CNBC, and this is a reporter there. I forget her name. Here it is.
It's not the policy before then.
He also seems to be a great stock pundit, Mr. Secretary. Earlier this morning, before the pause, he put out a message saying it's a great time to buy, and here we are. Here we are, well, much higher.
Cool. I'd always bet on Donald Trump. Every time I'd always bet on
He also wrote DJT, which is a ticker for his media company.
No. Every text
that was just
he
his.
does.
That was just
every
his, okay.
text he sends to me. That's his name.
But that was a great time to buy the market, right? I mean, uncanny.
Well, Donald Trump understands that America is the greatest country. All right, we are the greatest country, and we have the capacity for incredible greatness. But someone needs to take the shackles off. Someone needs to let our farmers sell corn to India. I mean, we had.
Okay, we can talk about that. One more thing. Andrew Ross Sorkin on the possibility of insider trading. Here it is.
People who work in Washington as our elected leaders, one way or the other, ultimately sold stocks last week. Given what the government's been doing and this administration's been doing, it would not shock me, and I hate to speculate, if we were to find out that a whole bunch of people who work in Washington as our elected leaders, one way or the other, ultimately sold stocks last week, or potentially worse than that, shorted the market.
What say you? I mean, look, CNBC is serious. You're on CNBC with the Shark Tank. These are some serious questions. And look, everyone, I think people are saying investigate. It certainly is questionable when you look at these things. What do you think of it?
Well, look, if you participate in insider trading, you have information the overall market doesn't have, and you actually trade on it, you go to jail. That's what happens. So that's been happening long before the Trump administration, and it'll happen long after he's gone. You just can't do that. So if these allegations come, and they're obviously speculations, and if this has happened, I'm all for people have to follow the law in this stuff. I mean, it's unfair to do that, and if they did it, they will suffer the legal consequences. He's speculating, though. Both these reporters are speculating. They don't know. I mean, let's see what happens. It's
not concerning to you at all? You have no concern about this? I mean, look,
I don't, because if you're so stupid to do this, you deserve to go to jail. That's, it's like
I don't mean
smoking.
to deserve to go to jail, Kevin. I mean, you have no concern that there is some evidence, or at least it does seem suspicious. I mean, even Chris Murphy is saying that. Chris Murphy is saying, you're talking about insider trading accusations. This is a bit long, but I want to play it for you and then get your response. Here it is.
I have questions about the tariff announcements today. Who benefited and who made money? And this should matter to you too, because this could be an enormous scam. What we know is that about 9:30 today, Trump posts on social media that people should buy. It's a good time to buy. And then 3 hours later, guess what? He announces that there's going to be a 90-day suspension of many of the tariffs. Predictably, the market, which had been crashing, shoots up, and anyone who made investments early today likely made a lot of money. And so the question is, who close to Trump knew that he was going to suspend the tariffs? Which of his Mar-a-Lago friends or his billionaire advisors were able to capitalize on that inside information? Why did Trump send out that post to his supporters earlier in the day? The bottom line is that the chaotic nature of this tariff policy, with Trump's position changing every single hour, gives ample opportunity for any individual who has early access to information about the White House's change in position to make boatloads of money, either by investing at the right time or pulling their money out of the market at the right time. This entire White House is one giant grift. Donald Trump and his friends are in power in order to use their access to government to make money. It stinks, and we should get to the bottom of it.
You don't think you should get to the bottom of it, Kevin?
Wow, it sounds like that guy has Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, let me get this right. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just going to walk you through what he said happened. Trump posts globally, good time to buy. So everybody knows, hypothetically, because it's not hiding anything. And then the market goes up. Just as likely it goes down. I mean, every day the volatility has been absolutely extraordinary. But he already told the whole world to buy. And then, according to this guy, everybody buys. Where's the insider trading? I don't get it.
You have no problem with a president telling people it's time to buy? I mean, do you think that is appropriate for a president to say?
What I heard was a president that was a cheerleader for America. That's what I heard. Now, look, I understand.
Well, hang on, Kevin. Hold on.
50%.
Hold on, Kevin. Hold on. Just 1 second. I'm going to let you get it out. Can we just put the tweet back up of what Donald Trump, let's put it up, what he said. No, the one where he said it's a good time to buy. He put up a tweet that said, it is a good time to buy. It's not like a cheerleader. He's telling people to go buy, Kevin. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's telling people to go buy the American index. What's the president's supposed to do that? He's supposed to be a cheerleader. He knows there's a lot of volatility. He's telling them, look, the market's corrected 20% and it's a good time to buy. Look, Don, the one thing I know is 50% of the population has Trump derangement syndrome, and that's not going to change. And every day they parse everything, and it's the same thing. Let's throw this guy back in jail. I get it, but we should be spending our time worried about the country, not about throwing Trump in jail all the time. They already tried that last year or last 4 years. Didn't work. The guy's the president of the United States. Get over it. And then in 3.5 years, he won't be. But my goodness, what a waste of energy. I mean, that guy had.
I don't think anybody's saying throw him in jail, Kevin. I just think they're saying and maybe it could be the people around him. But
you're asking me what I think. I think it's just it's just total speculation. And there's so much noise out there. This is just more noise and kind of irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
You think it's irrelevant if the president if there was some manipulation of the stock market? It's not like we haven't seen that before.
I don't think he's manipulating the stock market. I think he's driving policy, particularly on China, with extraordinary tariffs, and it's causing a lot of angst around the world, not just domestically. And he's saying to everybody, look, hang in there. I'm trying to get something done that no one's been able to do, and there's going to be volatility. And you should be optimistic on America. That's my read of it. And, so no, I am not. I don't think that there's this speculation on insider trading has much traction to it. But I listen, insider trading is a federal offense. And if you do it, you suffer the consequences. But I don't see it here.
This is Trump in the Oval Office yesterday. Even though you said it doesn't, you don't have an issue with it, bragging about how rich he made his friends. And the people on Wall Street, in the meantime, the people on Main Street are like, "What the fuck, man? We've lost a ton of money, and we are living paycheck to paycheck." Here it is in the Oval Office.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company; it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad because he's in financials. I've always been
not a bit cringe. Considering a lot of folks are watching us, if you're in the chat and you're watching us,
I'm helping you with your Trump derangement syndrome. Let me interpret.
I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. Trust me, I'm not. And again, listen, I'm not a Democrat, so don't even try it. I don't have Trump derangement, but I am a realist. I have eyes and ears.
He's celebrating entrepreneurship. These are individuals that obviously had positions in the indexes in the markets, as I do. I've been watching my net worth vary by 20%. Some days 5% in an hour, up and down. And I understand why that's happening. I've also learned in my life, you can't time the market. If you missed that upside yesterday, you basically left, 4.5% on the table. You're not going to get back maybe. So it's really a crazy time. And I agree with that. But trying to tie insider trading to market volatility, Don, I love you, honey, sweetie, poopsie, but it ain't going to happen. None of this stuff has any teeth, any traction. And right. I don't even think it'll get investigated because it's so obvious what happens here.
Kevin, sweetie, dearie, I'm just asking the questions. I mean, look, when you get major news
I'm answering you. No, it doesn't bother me. And I don't think there's anything important here. That's what I think.
All right, pumpkin. All right. So let's let's move on. I hate to disagree with you. I think I shouldn't say I hate to disagree. I disagree with you. I think it all should be investigated, whether it was Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama. If there's any indication that there's some market manipulation, I don't care if it's the president or the people who work for Charles Schwab or the people who work for Goldman Sachs or whoever it might be, or Chris Murphy or Nancy Pelosi, who gets so much scrutiny about her stock trades, that should be investigated. That's all I'm saying. It's not Trump derangement syndrome. I may have American consumer and voter and my member derangement syndrome because I'm asking the questions for them. And I think that they deserve to know, especially when they've lost so much money in the market. Capiche?
Well, no, I think there's a future for you in enforcement at the SEC. I'm going to put your name in.
All right. I would like that. So let's go on and talk about Donald Trump and the tariffs. And trust me, I'm going to get to some of the things. I know you were at the White House, and I do want to hear about that. But about yesterday, why do you believe Trump caved? Why did he blink?
I think he's bifurcating the narrative now. He's splitting the Eurozone, which is the biggest deal that could be done, which would be very important. If he got tariffs down to zero both sides, we'd have access to their markets finally, which would be a big win. It's not going to deal with the trade imbalance. We're never going to get that fixed. But if he ended up, after all this volatility, with a 0-0 deal with Canada, Mexico, and Eastern Europe, that would be a pretty powerful union economically. And I think that's sort of where he's heading. Then there's the China thing, because while he was taking down the heat on Eurozone and Canada and Mexico, he was raising the temperature on China. And that is a really interesting situation, because as I've said for a long time, and I said it again yesterday at the hearings, I would prefer that he raise tariffs on China to 400%. And the reason I would like that is to finally settle the IP issues, access to market issues, litigation issues, World Trade Organization breaches, all of this stuff. Basically, China steals stuff and they cheat. And I'm kind of tired of it. I've been dealing with
a lot of people are, Kevin, but 400%, come on, man.
No, you know what that does? It squeezes Chinese heads to get on a plane, and I'm either meet in Geneva or meet the White House, I don't care where, and cut a deal. But we've got to, it's not just tariffs. We've got to fix China. If they want to be the G8, if they want to play with the big boys and they want to access the US markets, they've got to play by the rules, and they have to be reciprocal between both countries. I want reciprocal laws. Until then, and I got some news for you, Don, this is happening. It happened last night. This Paul Atkins guy got confirmed, who's going to be running the SEC. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Senator Rick Scott sent a letter to him. It's public now. And he said, okay, for the last 4 years, the laws we put in place about delisting Chinese companies off American exchanges that were not compliant with GAAP have been ignored. Are you going to ignore those laws? Because if you are going to ignore them, I am not going to recommend for your confirmation.
You're getting into the weeds here.
Listen, Don, I'm just telling you, you should know this is coming. All these Chinese companies have been abusing the laws of the United States and
Kevin,
getting at our capital markets.
No one is disagreeing with you. I cannot disagree with you that China needs to be reined in. We're talking about the process of doing it. And this appears by all measures, by every economist, even people in his own party and even people in his own administration, to be an idiotic way of doing it. China, we have no leverage over China. There are not people in China opening up packages every day.
Au contraire, Don. Au contraire. We have lots of leverage over China. And now's the time to squeeze their heads, because all of the leverage is ours. We're the largest consumer market. We're the largest economic market.
People are not opening up packages in China every day that say made in America. But contraire, people here are opening up packages every single day, including Donald Trump at his gift stores in Mar-a-Lago and at Trump Tower, and that says made in China. They have much more leverage over us than we have over them. Now, regardless of who.
Well, let me explain while you're wrong. Let's stay on that. Let's just stay on that.
Go on.
All of those things you're talking about employ Chinese people to make them. Now, Xi, because he's a supreme leader for life, he has only one mandate, is to keep his people employed so they can eat. Now, if all of a sudden we shut off the largest consumer market, almost 40% of goods consumed on Earth are in America. Let's just say we cut it off for 60 or 90 days. We can sustain that period without all that stuff, but they will be rioting in the streets. And that will be bad for the supreme leader. And this is the leverage that we have right now. So I'm saying to Trump, go to 400%, squeeze Chinese heads, and get them here and cut a deal. And by the way, while we're at it, let's delist all their companies, because they're cheating and they're lying on their statements. And we have a law that says they should be delisted, and Atkins is going to do that. Also, let's cut off their access to our legal system. They're litigating my companies when I can't do the same thing in China. Level the playing field.
What would
and
happen?
then we'll have a wonderful,
annihilate American small businesses,
beautiful relationship. I want a wonderful, beautiful relationship with China. I want to sell them, but I want a level playing field. Squeeze them, Don. Squeeze them. Let's do it now.
Kevin, but what about squeezing small businesses? Wouldn't that a 400% tariff would annihilate American small businesses?
It's a short-lived phenomenon. You squeeze them until they come to the table, and then you go to a deal that makes sense for both sides, including abiding by the law.
That's okay for millionaires and billionaires to say that, but small businesses, and I am one now, look, it's tough out here on this small business streets. You're talking about entrepreneurs. I don't consider the people who are working for, who are Goldman Sachs and the Charles Schwabs who are in the Oval Office. That's not entrepreneurship. That's like
No,
those
no,
are like
listen, I
hedge
am the
funders.
champion of small business in America. I have 50 plus companies myself that are private, small, between 5 and 500 employees. I'm an investor in. Everybody knows that I'm an advocate for them, but they also have been getting screwed by China. Let me explain something to you. You take a product like Drainwig or a product like Hat Stacker, it becomes a hit on Shark Tank. I'm just giving you a real example. And
I'm
all of a
listening.
sudden, after it hits 5 million in sales, the Chinese knock it off and bring it out in the American market at a 40% discount and wipe out the innovation, wipe out the entrepreneur, and they don't give a damn. They don't care that they're abusing IP law because there's nothing we can do about it. That's what I'm tired about. I want to squeeze their heads until we have access to law that can shut them down when they steal IP. And I'm telling you, this is a huge problem. And that's why small business in America back this, because they've been screwed by China now for almost 40 years. Those guys don't play by their rules. They don't care about our laws, and they couldn't give a damn that they rip off the IP and put small businesses in America and jobs. They wipe them out. They kill American jobs by stealing IP. That's the problem, Dodd, and that's why small business is behind the 400% move.
Okay, Kevin O'Leary, then if you're a champion for entrepreneurs and small businesses, then you will understand now. I'm going to take you off the screen for a minute because I got to sell some ads, right? I got to pay for this business. So stand by. Just give me 2 minutes to do this, Kevin, and then we'll get back. I want to talk to you about Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick, and then everything that you witnessed at the White House yesterday or in Washington. So the Don Lemon Show is sponsored to you by BetterHelp, and you're going to need it today, especially dealing with Kevin O'Leary and everything that's going on. BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com. So listen, you guys know I like to take the stigma off of mental health, off of getting therapy. As a matter of fact, I was texting my therapist this morning saying, I need some help. Why can't I get an appointment with you? Please help me. He got back saying, we'll talk to you today. So look, go to online on your phone, wherever, betterhelp.com/Don Lemon, because let's talk about traditional therapy can cost you between $100 to $250 an hour on average, right? So you can, that's on average. In bigger cities, it costs more. So you can save a 50% on average per session if you go with betterhelp.com. Look, they've got many, many online therapists, over 30,000 therapists. It's just a click of a button. You can get them anytime. You can switch therapists anytime you want. And the accessibility is amazing. Getting therapy should not have to be a huge investment like a mortgage. It should be affordable and it should be available to you. It's convenient. You can join this session with a click of a button, and you get, as I said, many, many therapists. Switch anytime. So your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/Don Lemon to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. Listen, I've been telling you guys about this since I've been on television. I used to talk about it all the time with one of my friends over there at CNN. We do the handoff. We talk about mental health issues. I told you, I even do, look, I'm on antidepressants. Wellbutrin, as a matter of fact. There should be no stigma when it comes to mental health. So go over, check it out, just see what they have to offer, put in my name, and then let us know. Holler back to us, report back. Also, the Freedom from Religion Foundation is also sponsoring today's show, and we are so happy that they are as well. You ever notice that more and more people are stepping away from organized religion? Well, I think we've collectively realized that we don't necessarily have to go to church on Sunday or the synagogue on Friday or temple or whenever it is, that God lives within your heart, and we don't want people pushing their religious values and beliefs on us. That's what America is about religious freedom, okay? So I respect your right to believe in whatever you want to believe in. Just don't push it on me. Just don't try to put it into law. Just don't try to codify it. We live in a democratic republic, not a theocracy. I wrote about it in my book that was just released in September. So you know that these are the things that I actually believe in, and that's the sponsors that we put on this program, okay? So FFRP, which is the Freedom from Religious Foundation, FFRF, Freedom from Religious Foundation. Go to ffrf.us/freedom. Text my first name, Don, to 511 if you want to do that. Become a member. Text Don to 511 or go to ffrf.us/freedom, because the only thing worse than someone forcing religion on you is when they try to do it by law. So for membership information, text Don to 511 today. Text fees may apply. We've taken care of business probably in a better way than Kevin O'Leary has taken care of his business, at least lately. Kevin, thank you for standing by for the sponsor break. I'm sure you understand that. So Kevin, again, I asked you, I said, the question, you talked about China. We'll get back to that. But I asked you, why did Donald Trump cave yesterday? And he's trying to make it seem like a win. I'm not sure if you're doing that. It sounds like it. But this is what one Mr. Charlie Gasparino, who is a conservative, who is a Trump supporter, I believe, who's over on Fox News. This is what he said about the president, why he did what he did yesterday, because he was behind the 8 ball and he had to do something and they had to make it seem like a win. Charlie Gasparino, watch.
Well, I mean, because of the mixed messaging, how can you doubt them? I mean, let's be clear what happened. Who capitulated here and why? And I don't want to say this because I'm a patriot. I'm an American. But it is the White House who capitulated based on everything I hear and all my sources. And the reason why is because of the bond market and what happened last night. Bessent knows this better than anybody. When you have yields on the 10-year rising to 5%, stuff starts shutting down. When you have the lending markets screwed up. By the way, who was dumping the bonds? Somebody asked them if it was China, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It was Japan. While he was negotiating with Japan, according to my sources, who are running major money management firms that are involved in the bond market without giving up names, Japan was dumping bonds because they believed this was not a great place to do business. That forced their hands. Now, what you can say, I think, legitimately here, is Trump decided to take the win. And here's why. There was overwhelmingly, deal potential here among the entire world, except for maybe China, right? Everybody really wanted something. So he did take the win, but make no mistake about it. Peter Navarro was talking as of yesterday about not taking the win, and now they did. And it's all because of the bond market. I want to point out.
So, and Donald Trump admitting it real quick, and then I'll let you jump in here. Admitting in front of the White House, that's why he did it, because of the bond market and people were scared. So this wasn't the plan all along, as his acolytes and that he has been saying all along. Here's Donald Trump admitting it.
Just take guts, believe me.
Was it the bond markets that persuaded you to reverse course?
I was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day. We had Liberation Day in America. We were liberated from all of the horrible deals that were made, all of the horrible trade deals that were made. And I was helped by people just like this, senator, congressman, and friends, right? And we had great help in the Senate. Our Republican senators have been amazing. They stood tall. And likewise in the House. And
So did Donald Trump, did someone, Scott Bessent, that's either Scott Bessent came to his senses, or did someone or some folks say, look, we got to do something, and this is how you do it, Scott. You got to make Donald Trump think that it's a win. So if you can sell this capitulation as a win, as Charlie Gasparino did, and then you can get Scott Bessent out front because he's the adult in the room, and he doesn't listen to people like Howard Lutnick and Kevin O'Leary who say 400% taxes, and do something that is much more sensible, that will actually not kill American small businesses and might actually bring China to the table.
Well, first of all, 125% tariffs is also unsustainable. So if you're going to do 125, why not do 400%? That's
why not do 1,000? I mean, come on.
Well, sure. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Shock and awe, and get them on a plane to negotiate a deal. Now, regarding all this stuff and trying to pick out whether it was Japan or China selling T-bills, here's the difference with what's going on. This narrative, this kind of negotiation has been done many times before in various trade agreements, whether they be with Europe or NAFTA or NAFTA 2 or whatever you want to call these things. They were always done behind closed doors. Not this time. This particular president is what I call watch the sausage being made president. He does open press, even with Zelensky. Remember that? That was crazy. And the point is, you would never do that in past administrations, but this president doesn't care. He simply says, okay, you want to watch me make sausage? You're going to watch me make sausage. And so you get all this volatility. You still end up in the same place. And what I'm hoping for, frankly, and I think a lot of investors are in the same boat as I am, after all this volatility, if we came back with a Euro-Mexican-Canadian Union at zero tariffs, that's a huge achievement. And I think that's what he's looking at. That's where he's going. That's the signal. All the rest of the stuff is the noise, and I get it. And then everybody tries to pick apart the noise at what time the Japanese sell bills. Who cares? What you really care about as the investors, where are we going to be in 18 months at the midterms? Because I'm assuming that all this stuff has to be resolved before the midterms. Otherwise, they run the risk politically of losing their majority. I don't think Trump wants that. And that's the timeline by which this is going to get done. And I think that's the signal, Don, you should be focusing on. Thank goodness you know me.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. I don't think, again, I am with you on China. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about the way you do something, because this was a self-inflicted wound by Donald Trump, right? He creates a problem, and then he does something crazy, and then he retreats, and then he tells his people, oh my gosh, I fixed the problem, and then everyone believes him. So let's put this one up. This is the one from yesterday. This is what happens. Go ahead and put this up, Andy. I made a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. I convince my followers the problem is now magically solved, and then I reverse my stupid decision. That's what it sounds like Donald Trump did, instead of, as you have admittedly said, negotiating this stuff in public. Why don't you do it behind closed doors so that you don't affect people's livelihoods? You don't affect and appear to be manipulating the markets, and you don't have all of the hysteria going on around you, me and you arguing, friends, and then I get ticked off at you and I got to fight back at you on here on the streaming. So why is that? And then you put your people in this position, put up the other thing. This is exactly what happened. Trump advisor. This was a plan. That could be Navarro. Trump advisor. This could be Lutnick. This was a plan. Trump advisor. This could be Bessent. That was a plan. And then Trump comes out in front of the White House yesterday and says, the markets were panicking, so I backed off. Why? Then why do it in public? This is a self-inflicted wound. That's my point.
Don, here's what you got to do with all that stuff, all that noise. You have to put your fingertips together and you go,
don't be a panicking. And
I don't care about this stuff. I mean, I couldn't care less. And what I care about is the ending. Where are we getting to? I don't care how he negotiates. I don't care that he's doing, watching us make sausage. I don't care. What I care about is the end game. And the end game I hear, the signal I see is Euro, Mexican, Canadian Union. And that's powerful against China. Then you can squeeze Chinese heads even more. The whole thing is, how flat can you make those Chinese guys back to where they abide by the law? I have no problem with the Chinese people. In fact, I want to sell stuff to them, but I want to do it on a level playing field. And I just don't like the Chinese government. I don't like the way they cheat and they steal. I want to fix that. So how do you do that? Become more powerful. Economic union with Eastern Europe, Canada, Mexico. Boom. Now you're talking the largest economy miles ahead of China. Then squeeze the Chinese heads.
Yeah. So there's someone in the chat. Look, and I want to move on real quickly because before you turn into a pumpkin, but let me just say there's someone in the chat that says, I care because it affects me. And I know what they're going to say. Kevin, you've admitted, you're saying Mr. Wonderful. That's your whole thing. You're a very rich guy. Of course, it's easy for you to say, look, I can wait. You can wait years. You don't ever have to work again. But there are people out there who this affects them moment by moment by moment, and they are probably insulted by you saying, "Hey, look, I don't care about."
No, they're not. They're not insulted. I am their advocate.
Tell me, guys,
the thing is, we need to fix this problem, or all these small business guys are going to get wiped out by China. That's the whole point. Yeah. Every time there's a successful entrepreneurial product in America, China rips it off. That's what they do, and we haven't. They've suffered no consequences from it. New sheriff in town. They can't do that anymore. All kinds of things are happening at them, including their access to our capital markets. I told you the Paul Atkins story here in that letter that came out of for Scott. I mean, these are very important things. You're not watching this happen, but I bet you within 2 weeks, you're going to start to see the threat of Chinese companies being delisted off our markets. And that's a good thing. These guys have to start complying. They got to play by the rules. That's the message I'm giving. And everybody can wait a few weeks. Everybody can live a few weeks longer. When we fix this problem permanently, the Chinese markets will open up for small business in America. They'll be even richer than they are now. And we had good numbers, by the way, last Friday, the job numbers and good inflation data today. The American economy is just fine. It's volatile in pricing it on the market, but everybody chillax while we watch this sausage being made.
Yeah. All right. You should read some of the comments that have been put up. So listen, since you have some insider information, I don't know if it's insider trading, but you were in DC yesterday. Take us there. What was the most important thing that you learned, and what should our viewers know about being in Washington yesterday and the reason for your visit?
So part of it was TikTok. And what was clear about TikTok, and this came from, and it was public, at the lunch, Senator Cotton said, look, there's been proposals brought to me about providing indemnification for companies that want to buy TikTok and keep the algorithm. That's not going to happen. So anybody,
say that again so people can know. Tell me why. This is really important.
Well, it's public. I'm not telling you anything secret. He
but
went
you were
on
there.
online and basically said, listen, we wrote this law, and then the Supreme Court ratified it 9-0. And it says you cannot use the Chinese algorithm. And he's speaking specifically to people like me that want to buy TikTok. He made it very clear to me that I do not have the option, or anybody has the option, to buy TikTok and get an indemnification from Congress that they won't be sued $80 or $800 billion a year as per the penalties provided in the law in the Supreme Court order. So everybody now knows that if you want to buy TikTok, you won't be buying it with the algorithm, and that Congress will not provide you any indemnification. So you got to buy this thing clean, and that's the message we got. That was one issue. Number two, it was about Rick Scott's hearings, Senator Rick Scott's hearings about China. And a lot of testimony there. I think it was 4 hours long, and case by case study about how China has been abusing American laws and access to markets and ripping off IP. And I feel the momentum starting. Those are the two messages I got as a participant to testify, because they asked me about my experiences in China. I gave it to them. I told them what happened to us. And I've been doing this a long time, Don. And every time I've been screwed, and there's nothing I can do about it. So finally, I put up my hands and said, I'm like everybody else. I've had enough. What are you going to do? Are you going to fix it? And I think they are tending and trending towards fixing this China problem. And part of it is the squeezing we've been talking about and raising the tariffs until they come to the table. I anticipate Xi, within a few days or weeks, will say, okay, let's sit down and let's cut a new deal. And that will include access to markets, legal issues, IP theft, everything else, and reduction in tariffs. And I welcome that. And so will you.
I hope you're right. Look, give me just a minute or two. So TikTok is what? Is it going away? Are you going to buy it? Like, what is going on with that? And
well, what's been clarified is you got to adjust your pricing to the fact that you're not getting the algorithm. So you're going to have to build that. I mean, Senator Cotton made it clear. He said there's if you actually look at Reels on Instagram right now, or even on X, the doom scrolling looks identical to what's going on TikTok. So they've caught up using AI to rewrite the code. And what Cotton's suggesting is, if you get the brand and you get the videos and you get the accounts, you're going to have to rewrite the engine, because we're not going to let you use the Chinese algorithm. We can't have American data at risk. Remember, from their point of view, TikTok is weapons grade spyware, and they've shut it down with US law. So it's either going to comply in 75 days or it's being turned off. Those are the two alternatives. And the only way they can comply is sell it to a syndicate. Maybe I'll be involved in one of those syndicates, maybe not. But it's clear from Cotton yesterday, and he made it really clear in all of the public statements he made, that he will not allow American businesses to engage with the Chinese algorithm as investors.
I love that word syndicate. It reminds me of the mafia, but you said it. Okay, so Bitcoin, altcoins, crypto stocks have been going down with everything else. But if you look past the noise, there are so many positive indicators this administration has done when it comes to the crypto industry. That's what you believe. They are obviously long. They are so obviously long on crypto, right? What do you think? And there was a White House digital asset summit, the first ever.
Well, I think what's most important, and that's the same information yesterday at the Senate lunch, is Haggerty's Genius Bill, which is the old Stablecoin Act. That looks like it's going to get passed on a bipartisan basis, which is nothing about Bitcoin, but it allows for digital payment systems. It's the first move into crypto. That would make things like USDC, and I have to disclose I'm an investor in the company Circle that made USDC, and exchanges or businesses like Robinhood and Coinbase and WonderFi up in Canada. They're all going to be beneficiaries of this, because digital payments will flow across the border in USDC at a fraction of the cost that banks do it for now. And so that was a big piece of news as well. Of course, once the tonality of that law passing occurs, then there's going to be another law called the Market Infrastructure Act that determines whether Ethereum or Bitcoin or securities or commodities, and that will further provide regulation, and more assets will go into crypto. So I think crypto is pretty positive, Don. I think this administration is going to end its administration with, and this is an estimation on my part, that crypto will become the 12th sector of the S&P. And I think it's because it provides so much productivity to all 11 sectors that exist today. And I think that's a good thing. America should lead here, and they will. I mean, this is technology. This is technological productivity advancement. And we've been suing all these players for the last administration, and now we're embracing them.
So you got 3 minutes. I promise you, 3 minutes for me. Okay.
Don, I'm going to turn into a pumpkin in about 90 seconds. So it's the last question.
Okay, this is the last question, but I want to play this, and I think it's really important. If you can give it to me. This is Chris Murphy on crypto. That's what he believes, scandal, because Trump's sons just partnered up, and they're launching a U.S. Bitcoin mining company. Here's Chris Murphy. Last question, and then I'll let you go. Here it is.
Start on January 17th. On January 17th, Trump launches the meme coin. This is maybe the most corrupt of all the acts, because what is the meme coin? The meme coin is essentially a mechanism by which Russian oligarchs or corporate CEOs can literally send money privately directly to Donald Trump. Nobody knows who buys the meme coin, but Trump makes money when people buy it. And so it is just an open sewer valve that allows for anybody who is trying to influence the Trump administration to be able to secretly funnel money to Donald Trump. He reserves 80% of the coin. He waits to release that coin until the price jumps back up again, which essentially means he's waiting for people who want favors from him to buy a bunch of the coin to inflate the value so that he releases more and makes more money. It's
okay. So you get the point. I won't play all of it. And then, as I said, his sons just partnered up launching a U.S. Bitcoin mining company. And then you've got the meme coin and whatever. He's saying, how is this not extremely corrupt? That's what Chris Murphy is saying. This is extremely corrupt. What is your take on it?
I don't think anything illegal was done there. There's many meme coins. This is more Trump derangement syndrome, and I appreciate it. I understand it. And that whole conspiracy theory that he's getting whoever foreign leaders to buy his meme coin. I don't know, Don. This stuff it's out in the market, and I always ask people that do this: is this the best use of your energy? Like, is this how you want to spend your day, ranting and raving about stuff like this when there's no productivity to it? My whole thing, as I teach young entrepreneurs these days and all over the place, including Harvard and MIT, you name it, focus on the things you do with your 18-hour day that are productive to you, that you solve for your mandate. If you're trying to start a business or something, focus on the signal, not the noise. That's noise. That poor guy's wasting his time. But anyways, look, good luck to him. And that's the great thing about America. You can rant and rave all day long, and people do. That's just more of it.
All right.
You had that great ad on your sponsor for mental health. I suggest all of these guys buy that service and go
I love that. I agree with you. Everybody there should go and buy that service because I think mental health is important. And I do believe that our elected officials.
Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, you got 50% of the population suffering with it, so it's crazy.
Look, I'm going to give you that number.
I've got to go, my friend. I've got to go.
Call it yourself. BetterHelp.com. Kevin O'Leary, you need to go there and make sure you put Don Lemon in there.
Thank you, Don. I always love our conversations. Until next time, remember, Don.
BetterHelp.com for Kevin O'Leary. Thank you, Kevin. I'll see you later. Take it easy, buddy. I apprate it. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
So guys, that was Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary. Listen, I think that our lawmakers, regardless, should be holding the powerful accountable. And I think the legislative branch should be holding the executive branch accountable. So I have no problem with Chris Murphy asking questions and presenting and showing evidence. And I believe that Kevin O'Leary has Trump derangement syndrome. He is the main culprit of TDS. Tell me if you disagree. He's the one who needs some mental health guidance as it relates to that. Now, imagine if Hunter Biden was partnering up to launch a U.S. Bitcoin mining company. Imagine what Kevin O'Leary and others would be saying, especially those on the right and the Trump administration. They'd be saying, oh my God, the Biden crime family, but somehow it is okay when it comes to Donald Trump. Now, look, how did you guys, I mean, man, did anybody like having Kevin as a guest here? I thought it was important to hear what someone like Kevin O'Leary has to say because he's very popular. He may one day be the owner of TikTok. He is very heavily invested, or at least I don't know about monetarily, but his thoughts and what he has been asking people to do, invested in the success of Bitcoin. You heard what he had to say there. So It's obvious you say that he does not meditate. So I want to know what you think about him. Okay? Now, you guys, if you did not watch what yesterday on our program at Live at 5, I want to play something for you. And this is David Frum, who was on, talking about the disaster that is what happened yesterday and the disaster not being over. Here it is.
The long thing you read, I don't know, you call it a tweet or it reminded me of that scene in The Wizard of Oz when the wizard reads the diplomas with a lot of wherefores and thereafters, and it sounds impressive. But understand, the damage here has not been undone. Tariffs of the three biggest partners of the United States, trade partners, are China, Mexico, and Canada. The Canada and Mexico tariffs are all still there. Tariffs on autos, tariffs on steel, tariffs on aluminum, tariffs on potash, an important fertilizer, tariffs on Mexico is subject to many tariffs. So Trump has done tremendous damage to that trading relationship. And although this statement today pauses the tariffs on the penguins, the United States does not do a lot of business with those penguins. The people with whom it does the most business, they are still in a situation where nobody is going to make any investments. And while the panic in the financial markets was calm today, the slowdown in investment and the onset of the recession, those have not been held back. Those are still coming.
Okay, that was David Frum yesterday. It was a fantastic episode. If you didn't see it, click on it. I think the title of the episode and the thumbnail, it is Trump Caved. By the way, I need to apologize to all the people over on TikTok. I forgot to put you guys up again live. I'm so sorry. Can someone remind me in the YouTube chat to turn on the live feed for the folks over on TikTok? We don't want them to miss out on the fine, fantastic show that is the Don Lemon Show, that they are getting the live feed from TikTok. So TikTok, I apologize. Forgive me. Good morning. What's up, Don? I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did not put you guys up. But look, I'll stay on just a little bit longer, so make sure to give TikTok. If you did, you just missed Kevin O'Leary. TikTok. If you didn't join us on YouTube, you just missed Kevin O'Leary. He was on pushing his Trump derangement syndrome, as he often does. He wants the Trump administration to impose a 400% tariff on China rather than 125% on China. So make sure you smash the hearts if you're on TikTok. If you're here joining us, make sure you hit the thumbs up, okay? It is very important for us because it affects the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation, of our channel, and what we do over here on the Don Lemon channel on the Lemon Nation, okay? And if you're watching us on Instagram, make sure you follow all of our stuff. If you're watching us on Facebook, follow us as well there, and make sure you come over, wherever you are, TikTok, whatever, come over to YouTube and make sure you watch us full frontal. That's our show. That's where the comments go up. That's where we read your comments from YouTube. And some of the comments from Facebook come up as well. So thank you for that. By the way, check us out on Substack, donlemon.com, donlemon.com on Substack. And I will probably do some lives today as the breaking news happens. It's just like me checking in, going live between stuff that I'm doing, between businesses, or me handling businesses. We don't have weeks. People need to buy groceries and pay rent now. Yes. Right. Thank you, Ribbit2. People don't have weeks. They don't have time to wait. Does Kevin care how we middle-class Americans with declining 401ks feel? Julie, I tried to ask him that question. You heard me. Kevin is a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire. So he can wait forever. As I said to him, Kevin O'Leary doesn't have to work ever a day in his life again. He doesn't. So he can wait forever. Kevin is drunk off the MAGA Kool-Aid, says Claire E. Claire, I don't disagree with you. I think he is drunk off the MAGA Kool-Aid. And you know the one, by the way, Steve Coles, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Thank you for becoming a member. Kevin may be rich, but he is also delusional, Kevin says. I'm going to read some of your comments. So let's stick with this, and I'm going to show you some stuff as I read them. Red Devil Raspberry says, thank you for becoming a member, by the way. I was willing to listen to Kevin, Don, but the disrespect he showed you and concerns for your viewers is uncomfortable. See y'all at 5 p.m. I'm out. He's delusional. I get it. But I think that we have to have people on that we can learn from and that we disagree with. And I certainly push back on him, and I certainly disagree with him, and I think I did it in a cordial way, but I think you got the point. As I was smiling through the, hey, buddy, You're the one who's delusional. Don is a reporter, and he is working hard to get answers for us. Accusing him of Trump derangement syndrome is just ridiculous. We are worried, says Julie Simmons. I agree, Julie, and thank you for your support. Mr. Delusional should be his name, says Kishia Ward. Kishia Ward. I agree, and thank you for your support. Yes, I thought it was disrespectful, and you know what I thought was even more disrespectful than Kevin? Because Kevin is not the commander-in-chief. He's not the president of the United States. But I played this earlier, and I want folks to see this. This is what Donald Trump did in the Oval Office after so much pain and so much hurt to the American people. He got up there in front of some very rich guys, his very rich friends, bragging on how rich he made them. He made them even richer. How is that not tone deaf and delusional? Here's Donald Trump again in the Oval Office bragging about making his rich friends rich and you poor.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made 900 million. That's not bad, because he's in financials. I've always been following.
He made them really, really rich. Really, really, really rich. And as you heard David Frum say, the disaster is not over because there's still a 10% tariff on our trading partners and some of our allies. Catherine Rampell, who is a great financial expert, says Bill Ackman, who criticized Donald Trump on the tariffs, says, and then all of a sudden yesterday comes out and says, oh my gosh, another glazing Donald Trump. This was brilliantly executed by @Real Donald Trump, textbook art of the deal. Nothing changed, Bill. What are you talking about? Nothing changed. No one has come to the table. There are no official deals. The market is now down. Market is still down, right? The market is still down. The Dow is down. What changed? Nothing has changed. China hasn't come to the table at all. Tariffs remain. We are still worse off, Catherine Rampell says. We still have at least 10% global tariffs, 125% on China. Businesses can't make decisions, don't know tariff rates 90 days from now. I usually say Trump repackages status quo as victory, but this is significantly worse than pre-Liberation Day status quo. I agree. And then someone like so-called Mr. Wonderful comes on here and he tries to put a bow around a box of turds. And that's exactly what he's doing. 125% for China. I'm telling you, Kevin O'Leary can talk about all these people that Donald Trump is putting into place. China does not give up. China doesn't care. He can pretend to tell you, oh, China, they need us or whatever. Have you heard any word from China? Now, here's the thing. When you have a foe or an adversary, or you're in the middle of something, when someone is quiet, that's when you worry. China's not saying anything, they're quiet. They're not out boasting and bragging and posting stuff on Truth Social or Lie Social or Anti-Social. They're not doing any of that. They're just like, okay, whatever. Show me what you got. And dumping, by the way, reportedly, shiploads of goods into the ocean. That's the reporting. Allegedly, that's what they're doing. And they're like, okay, fine, we won't send them. And then people here are like, where's my stuff? I can't operate my business. How am I going to afford this? In the meantime, wait. All you got to do is wait, hold out for a little bit, maybe a week or two, or maybe a month, or in the coming months, or whatever, in the years, it's all going to be okay. Can you wait that long? Does the average American have time to wait that long? I'm just wondering. Here's a real person, a business owner, talking about the very same thing that I said. What are you going to do? What happens to these goods that we bought? Maybe China won't even send them. And if they do, what are small businesses going to have to pay the extra costs? Check it out.
I have over $30,000 worth of product
Back up to the beginning.
on a ship coming from. I have over $30,000 worth of product on a ship coming from China to the U.S. right now. I've literally been having a panic attack all day long. I genuinely don't know what I'm going to do. I don't understand how Trump is able to just say tariffs on China are going to be over 100%. And he's not even giving any time for business owners to like make adjustments or cancel orders. Like, I paid for this product months ago and it has been on a ship for weeks. Like, I can't just on a dime say, never mind, take it back. I already paid for the fabric. I already paid to make them have the product. I just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, is this product just going to arrive in the US and they're going to say, you owe us another $30,000 in tariffs? Because I don't have that. I don't have that. So what do? Do I send the product back? But then I don't have any product to sell, which means the business is over. And I would have to pay for shipping, which would be several thousand more dollars to send the product back to China. I just feel so angry. Like, I have worked so fucking hard to start my own business and live the American dream. And, you know, I was so burnt out in corporate America and I just wanted to be able to do my own thing and start my own business and take a chance on myself. And now it seems like that's just over. Like, I'm just going to lose tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know what to say. I'm just genuinely in shock and I don't know what to do. I literally have no words.
And I think the American people and business owners and the real entrepreneurs feel exactly the same way. I was surprised that he's talking about all these people who work for Schwab and all of that those are entrepreneurs. They're business people. I don't look at them as entrepreneurs. I look at like that young lady and the small business owners. To me, those are entrepreneurs, people who start out and they sell products. They come up with something new, not the people who, you know, can go to school and learn how to manipulate markets. To me, that's not entrepreneurship. That's not entrepreneurial. That's something, I don't know if what you would call that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I also want to talk to you about something that we discussed yesterday. Remember that we told you about Donald Trump is now, he wants to have the Justice Department investigate people he doesn't like. People who exercise their First Amendment rights to be able to write books or to be able to, remember, this is supposed to be the free speech absolutist crowd of presidency. They're supposed to love freedom of speech. Don't cancel people. Let them say whatever they want. We should be able to say, I'm starting a social media site on my own because I want to be people to be able to say whatever the hell that they want. And then when someone does, now all of a sudden he wants to prosecute them. He wants to prosecute Miles Taylor. He wants to prosecute Chris Krebs. Well, the folks over at the Bulwark were on the MSNBC discussing this. And I do believe that Sarah Longwell is right. This is straight up authoritarianism. Here it is.
But what is your sense of the political backdrop against which all of today's events have taken place?
Well, first of all, let me just say how insane it is that the mechanism by which he is attacking these people is an executive order. Why would that be? I mean, it's one thing if he wants to be upset or he wants to pursue litigation if he thinks claims have been made, but to sign an executive order attacking these people, especially Chris Krebs. I mean, Chris Krebs, all he did was rebuke the president's false claim that the election wasn't stolen as somebody in his administration. And here's what Trump is trying to do. Look, I don't know how much of it. You never know with Donald Trump. Is he trying to distract you like a guy with a laser pointer and the media is a bunch of cats? Is he trying to get people to chase things so they stop talking about the fact that he caved and did a total about face on the tariffs after telling us for days that he wasn't going to do a pause, and now he's suddenly pausing because the world economy is collapsing? Is he doing this as a distraction? I don't know, but on its face, it is incredibly pernicious for him to sign executive orders and launch investigations into people simply for speaking out against what they saw from his administration. And also what he was saying there is, though, it's like highly unusual. Look, lots of books get written by people who are insiders in administrations who talk about the things that happened in the rooms. That's actually very common. That's what reporters do. And what he's trying to do here, though, is to make people afraid of speaking out against him. Not just people from before, but people who are there now. People who have an understanding of what he's doing, and who, as people are looking for insight, he's saying, if you leak, because people leak against Trump all the time. I mean, nobody leaks against Trump more because people inside are trying to make Trump not do crazy things, right? By telling the media he's about to do crazy things. And so leaking is like a mechanism for them to curb some of Trump's worst impulses. And so he's trying to make people afraid by saying he's going to launch investigations into anybody who speaks out. I mean, this is some of the most insane authoritarian stuff we've seen out of him.
I can't disagree with that. And I can't believe it. No one is, people should be outraged. Can you imagine? Again, I hate to keep like doing this comparison. Can you imagine if the Biden administration did the same thing or anything similar? People would freak the hell out. At least the right would. And look, there were some Democrats who didn't believe. I had no problem with him pardoning his own son. And I would have maybe in a different time. But considering who the president who's coming in, and look at what they've done now. Imagine the lengths that this administration would have gone to make sure that Hunter Biden was under the jail for infractions that were far less egregious than what Donald Trump was actually convicted for. You feel me? So that's why I didn't have an issue with it. But imagine if Joe Biden was going after his political enemies. They actually accused him of that. They said that Joe Biden was going after Donald Trump when Joe Biden's Justice Department was slow on the trigger. When people were like, Merrick Garland, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you doing something? Had they done something before, and not just targeting Donald Trump, but on the real issues for which he was eventually found guilty of, perhaps we'd be in a different situation right now, where democracy is on the line and he is flouting all parameters and bounds of our democracy and our judiciary. So that's where we are. That's where we are. What a day. We're going to watch, because guess what? Do we have the NASDAQ thing, Andy? Do you still have that, or the stock market ticker? Is that, if you can put that back up? There we go. Now, I told you guys, do you guys remember when I said I like to say old people be knowing? Did I tell you yesterday? Okay, it's great that the market was in the plus yesterday. I'm happy that it is, and I hope that you can pay all your bills, but don't get too excited. Simmer down, because Donald Trump would do something erratic, or he would change course or whatever, and then the market would go down again. And here we are. And it's not over yet, because he's going to freak out and say, why the market's going down? He may do a 400% tariff just because he's so pissed that China's like, Donald Trump is freaking out doing this, and China's like this. I'm going to have the hand roll and some French fries. Donald Trump. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I ain't got time for them. What else are we going to do today? You guys want to play some golf? They're minding their own Chinese business, while Donald Trump and all the people are like, put more pressure. They're like, okay, you don't want our goods? Fine. Your people do. Your businesses are going to start getting crushed. They are unbothered. Trust. And we are all over here freaking out going, wait, what are we going to do? What about those of us who, aren't multi-millionaires or billionaires like Kevin O'Leary? What about small businesses that have seed money, startup, loans, that kind of thing? What's going to happen? Like that young lady who says, I don't have $30,000 that I've already invested in this stuff. It's down over 1,000 points right now. In the meantime, this is great. It's okay. Whatever. The president, this was great. Whatever Ackman is saying and Kevin O'Leary. Nothing has changed. No deals. This is the art of the steal, not the art of the deal. Okay, so guys, yes, we are just effed, as someone said in the chat. I agree with you 100%. So as I always say before I get out of here, you know what I say, let me know, let me know, let me know. It's down, someone says, question mark. Yeah, the market is down. Where have you been? The market is down 1,000 points, over 1,000 points right now. Look on your screen. It's down 1,100 points right now. Okay, and it's going down further. Because of what? Instability. These people are not stable. The president is not stable. The way he conducts himself, not stable. Go ahead. Who is that? Is that Peter?
That was me. I was just going to tell you, we have some breaking news if you want to check your phone. In terms of market instability, the market's going to love this.
China. Oh, boy. So the Dow Jones is down over 1,000 points, just broken. A White House official confirms to me, this is from, Megan Casella over at CNBC, just broke on CNBC. White House official confirms to me the new tariff against China this team now totals 145%, not 125%, as the president said yesterday. The EO, European, spells out the reciprocal rate, reciprocal rate jumped from 84% to 125% overnight, combined with the 20% fentanyl tariff, we're at 145%. Okay.
We can't even keep track of how high the tariffs are.
How high it's going to go. All right, but we shouldn't be surprised. Look, anything over 100% is ridiculous. 125, 145%. So that's where we are. And I think China is, as I said, they're unbothered. What are we going to have for lunch, China is saying, or dinner, depending on the time it is in China. What time is it in China? They're plus what? Someone tell me. Stocks are down 800. No, stocks are down. Is it 800 now? Anyway, anywhere 1,000 to 800. No, it's down 1,100, not 800. 1,100. TikTok. 1,100. You okay with that, MAGA? Winning? You're going to win so much and you won't know what to do? You're going to become so rich? 12 to 13 hours ahead. So they're like, hey, what's for dinner? Or maybe dinner is over. What's for breakfast the next day? We're going to do all these tariffs. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So look, guys, I'm going to see you back here live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you check out our content that will run today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to drop something, but then check us out. Thanks for supporting us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to all the new members. If we have some new members, we'll put them up. Thank you to all the new members. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your very generous support of independent media. Make sure you hit the like and you hit the thumbs up on your way out. Welcome to the Elimination, Elaine Scotton, Denise Ballard. Welcome to the Elimination. Make sure you subscribe. The subscribe button is at the bottom of the screen right next to the Don Lemon Show logo. Jay Walker, welcome to the Elimination. We appreciate it. Thanks for becoming a member. Sharon Garing, welcome. Sharon Garing. Welcome to Lola, who is also a member. Appreciate that. Kay Flip became a member as well. Welcome to you. So we're so happy that you all are members. Make sure you hit that like and thumbs up. Subscribe. We want to get our subscribers up to at least, can we do it, you think, by the beginning of summer in June? Can we get up to 1 million? Where are we at? 670 something? Do you guys know exactly where we are? Peter, Andy, where are we?
Yeah, 670 something, definitely.
673.
Yeah.
673. Come on, y'all. Let go. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends and neighbors. Let us know what you want to put on this channel as well. We would like to know that. Okay. So anyways, thank you. And as I always say, you're welcome. Someone said, thank you, Don, for keeping us informed. You're welcome. Look at the markets. Yeah, it's down, guys. I can't. I'm sad. So thank you to our sponsors. Thank you for the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and also thank you to BetterHelp. So you can go to betterhelp.com, HELP.com/Don Lemon, betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. Also, you can go to, for the Freedom of Religion Foundation, go to ffrf.us/freedom, or text my first name, Don, to 511-511. Okay? So, as I say on all of these things, every day when I log off the stream, I say one thing. But by the way, TikTok, I'm sorry, you were like at least 30 minutes late, maybe even more. I apologize. I'm going to have to set myself a reminder to turn the TikTok live feed on. So, everyone, see you 5 p.m. live Eastern for Lemon Live at 5. Until then, turn the TV off. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching.